طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وآله وصحبه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. So, a few questions, inshallah ta'ala. Question number one, why do we show our eyebrows and not our hair? I assume this is a question from women, of course. Why do we show our eyebrows and not our hairs? Because Allah said so. I mean, subhanAllah. Some things, reality goes like, and we mentioned this narration a lot, like when the lady came to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and she said, why do we have to make up our fasting during Ramadan, but we don't have to make up our salat? Allah didn't command you to do that. Leave it as it is. Don't make it more difficult. Some of you struggle, some people, not you all, alhamdulillah, some women struggle with covering even their hair, right? Don't make it more difficult. Islam, alhamdulillah, is easy. Islam in itself is easy. We make it more difficult for ourselves. There's no reason for us to be concerned about covering our eyebrows, right? When some of us struggle with covering properly, period. Right? Does that make sense or no? Why worry about my eyebrows might not be covered properly when some of us struggle with covering our arms properly? Islam is easy. Don't make it difficult on yourselves. And as well, since they brought up the topic of eyebrows, one thing that we do have a law against in Islam in regards to eyebrows is what? Shaving, cutting them, trimming them, styling them, shaping them, whatever you want to call it, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he cursed the woman who does this, right? The one who, her hawajib, her eyebrows, that if she styles them, cuts them, trims them, the Prophet ﷺ, he cursed this type of woman. So may Allah make it easy for us. Don't play with your eyebrows. Also, one thing that we do know is that sometimes you see how some of the ladies, they wear their hijab up like here, right? Or like this, barely, you know. What I know from the women is that some of them, they wear their hijab till it comes right above their eyebrows. Yeah, you see like this too? They wear it till it comes right above their eyebrows to show less of their face as possible. To show as little of their face as possible. Tayyib. Next question. What is Sharee'ah? Sharee'ah, linguistically, the Sharee'ah is the way to the watering hole. Right? What is the word for a street in Arabic? Sharee'ah, right? Sharee'ah is the way to get to where you got to go, right? If you ask somebody, what street do you live on? That's the way to get to where that person lives. So the Sharee'ah, linguistically in the Arabs, they used to call it the way to the watering hole, where the water is. What's the most important thing for a person in the desert? To find water. So the Sharee'ah will be the way, the path that will lead you to the watering hole. The Sharee'ah is our way of life as Muslims. The Sharee'ah in Islam does not change. The Sharee'ah does not change. Fiqh sometimes changes from time to time, place to place, but the Sharee'ah is the Quran and the Sunnah. It does not change. How we understand it and apply it, which is called fiqh, sometimes it changes. But the Sharee'ah is the law that Allah sent down from the heavens. It does not change. The same law that Allah sent down to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 plus years ago, right? The same law we have today. It does not change. The Quran that we have is the same Quran that we have now. It did not change. The Sunnah that we have is the same Sunnah. It did not change. So the Sharee'ah is our way of life. It's our way to our watering hole, which means our way to Jannah, inshallah. If we want to make it to Jannah, then we hold to and we stick to the Sharee'ah. If we leave the Sharee'ah, maybe we'll die of thirst. Right? Maybe we'll die of thirst. We won't be able to get the drink that we need because we strayed from the path that leads to what we need and desire. Even if we live in 2019, right? On the Kafir calendar, 1440 Islamic, the real year. Even if we live in 1440 after Hijrah, the Sharee'ah is still as important for us today as it was for the Muslims then. And if we don't think, sometimes we think that today, because we have technology and we have all these other things, right? That we don't need the Sharee'ah. Now that's back then. But don't you know, what does Allah talk about the people of the past? When Allah talks about the people of the past, He always talks about what? How much might and power they have, right? How much intelligence and perhaps technology they had. And that was a cause for them to be what? To be what? To be destroyed. Like the people of Ad said, "Men who are shaddu minna quwwa." They said, who is more stronger than us in power and might? أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِي خَلَقَهُمْ هُوَ أَشَدُّ مِنْهُمْ. Right? Allah says, don't they realize that Allah who created them is stronger than them in power? So these people who came before us, they had power and might too. Right? Fir'aun built unimaginable things. Allah destroyed him. Why? Because he started to rely on his modern technology or modernity or what was going on in his time, and he left alone the law of Allah, the Sharee'ah. Every time people leave off the Sharee'ah, regardless how much intelligence or technology they have, don't think that we're the first one to be able to do some things. We're not. History repeats itself, right? So think about the palaces and the kingdom that Allah said that Sulaiman built, right? A kingdom that what did he ask for? A kingdom that nobody will ever have after. So do we think we have a better kingdom than what Allah gave Sulaiman? Think about this. We got to really put this into practice. The Quran that we have, that we read, do we really believe in it? Allah said that Sulaiman asked for a kingdom that nobody will ever have after. Allah answered this dua or not? Yes. Still to this day, you have people trying to do what? Find the lost kingdom of Sulaiman, right? You ever hear about it? Yeah, they're always in Jerusalem finding over, we got to find the lost kingdom of Sulaiman, right? What did the jinns do? This is the story. What did the jinns do after Sulaiman died? Come on. What did they do? They looked under his chest to find what? And they said they found the different dawaween, the different scrolls and stuff of the sihr that Sulaiman locked away so that people wouldn't practice sihr. And what did the jinns say? They said, oh, look, we found the way that Sulaiman got power. Showing how great the power of Sulaiman was. Even the jinn didn't know how Sulaiman had so much power. That Sulaiman was able to do what? Control the jinn. Right? He made the jinn work for him. Not the opposite. People who do sihr today, the jinn is not working for them. Really, they're working for the jinn. But Sulaiman was able to cause the jinn to work for him. Who has more power than this? We think that today we have more? No, subhanAllah. This is our weak mindset to think that we're special today in 2019 and our way is the way, don't worry about anything. But it's not. So that's the Sharee'ah in a nutshell. Does that make sense what the Sharee'ah is? The law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the earth. What Allah has sent down from the Quran and the Sunnah that He has obligated us to follow. Right? That makes me think of a story that happened during the time when the Prophet ﷺ was going out in a battle of Tabuk. Right? He was going out in a battle, and there were some of his companions, and there were some munafiqun. There were some companions, and there were some munafiq. Right? So the companions were sitting there doing their regular thing, waiting for the battle, and the munafiq said, I've never seen someone who recites the Quran, right? I've never seen the likes of you guys who recite the Quran, but you are more thirsty for food, right? You're more hungry for food all the time, more cowardly on the battlefield, and more fat. So he said about them, about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So one of the other companions jumped up. He said, yo, you're lying and you're a munafiq. You're lying and you're a munafiq. So the person, that companion who jumped up, he then ran to go tell the Prophet ﷺ. But the revelation came to the Prophet ﷺ before the revelation could come. The revelation came to him, right? So when the revelation came to him, the Prophet ﷺ, the person came after and said, Ya Rasulullah, I was just joking. I was just playing around. I didn't really mean that the companions really desired the dunya. What was the problem about what he said? Somebody tell me, what was the problem about what he said? Think about it, because the next part is important. What was the problem about what this person said? He mocked the righteous for being righteous. Number one, they weren't fat. Number two, they weren't people who were always hungry. Number three, they weren't cowards. And he mentioned this about them because they were people of the Quran. He mentioned this about them because they were people of the Quran. So when the Prophet ﷺ came to him, guess what the Prophet told him? He said, لَقَدْ كَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ لَا تَعْتَذِرُوا. Don't make no excuses. You disbelieved after you were a believer. That was enough to cause a person to disbelieve, to mock the Sharee'ah of Allah, to mock it, to laugh about it, take it as a joke. That's Sharee'ah. It's not important today. To belittle the Sharee'ah. Mocking is a form of what? Belittlement. So that was enough to cause the person to disbelieve. Now we think about it, how do we know what a munafiq is? How do we know what a munafiq is? What's the signs of a munafiq? Because we have them today, for sure, right? No, yes? There's more munafiqs in our time than there was in the Prophet's time, for sure. Because the times get worse. What's the sign of a munafiq? So that you know when you see it. You say, oh man, you're a munafiq, aren't you? You don't got to tell them, but you realize there's signs. And that same ayah, or that same vein of ayahs, the Prophet says, Allah Ta'ala, he mentions about the munafiqun. Allah says, al-munafiqun wal-munafiqat. Al-munafiqun wal-munafiqat ba'dahum min ba'd. The munafiqun and the munafiqat, the girl ones, boy ones, they're all from each other. They work with each other, help each other. Nothing different between them, right? Here goes their sign. Allah now describes them to us. يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمُنْكَرِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَقْبِضُونَ أَيْدِيَهُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says about the munafiqun, their sign. If you ever want to know who the munafiqun are, they are the ones who يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمُنْكَرِ. They order people to do that which is haram. Yo, come on, let's go do haram together. They make the halal, they make the haram seem good. Let's all go together and go do haram. And everyone is okay with that. Let's go do haram, talk good about it. They order, go do haram, go do it. It's fun, go, right? Munafiq. Can't be a Muslim like this, a believing, firm Muslim, and you order the people to go do the haram. وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ. And they forbid the people from doing that which is good. Ma'ruf in Islam, now we have to learn terminology in Islam. What is ma'ruf and munkar? The ma'ruf is anything that's known to be good in the, we're going back to our first topic. Ma'ruf is anything that's yu'raf bil khayr fi sharee'ah. Is known to be good in the sharee'ah, not in our minds. The ma'ruf is anything that's known to be good in what? And whose sharee'ah? Yours or mine? Allah's, right? That's ma'ruf. And what's munkar? Anything that's known to be bad in the sharee'ah. If it's known to be bad in the sharee'ah, it's munkar. And if it's known to be good in the sharee'ah, it's ma'ruf. And Allah commands us to order to do that which is ma'ruf and forbid that which is munkar. But the munafiq, they do the opposite. They order to do that which is munkar and they forbid the people from doing that which is ma'ruf. وَيَقْبِضُونَ أَيْدِيَهُمْ. And they hold their hands back from giving in obedience to Allah. They don't want to give in sadaqah. They say, no, look, let's spend our money on a party. You say, man, the masjid needs this and this. They say, I don't have nothing today, brother, I'm sorry. Then you find out that people just spend $15,000 on the party. You say, subhanAllah, how is this? You don't want sadaqah? Where are the people's hearts at? The people's hearts are attached to the dunya, it's not attached to the sharee'ah of Allah. So, this is one of the characteristics of the munafiq. May Allah protect us all. May Allah protect us all and make us amongst the people who order to do that which is known as good in the sharee'ah and stay away from that which is known as evil in the sharee'ah, not in our minds. Because Allah didn't command us to follow our mind. He commanded us to follow what? The sharee'ah. And our path to success is in the what? Sharee'ah. If Allah wanted us to follow our minds, right? Then there would be at least on this earth, how many people are there? How many people on the earth? They say 7 billion? I don't know. So there will be 7 billion different sharee'ahs. Does that make sense that everyone has their own way? No, Allah commanded us to be inna ummatakum ummatam wahida. Your ummah is one ummah. How does it become one ummah? By everyone following the sharee'ah. Nobody leaving off following the sharee'ah. That's how we become one ummah. That's how we become united and strong. But as long as we follow our desires and leave off the Sharee'ah, then we'll be weak. We'll be tore up. Okay? The next question. What advice do you, is it true, what advice do you give a Muslim friend that wants to do haram things? What do you give a Muslim friend that wants to do, there's a question that was erased, and I'm going to answer the question even though it was erased. That's what I was laughing about. It's a question, somebody wrote it. I have a rule. If you wrote it, it means it was important. If you wrote it, it was important enough to write. So I'm going to answer it. Right? Tayyib. So first question goes, what advice do you give a Muslim friend that wants to do haram? Right? The first thing we have to realize, the Prophet ﷺ told us what? من رأى منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه وإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وهو أضعف الإيمان. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, whoever sees a munkar, meaning something that is known as bad in the Sharee'ah, then he should change it with his hand, if he's able to. If he's the father, mother, teacher. But maybe if you're a friend, you can't drag them and throw them, right? You can't do that to your friend normally. Maybe it depends on your friendship. So the next level is, he says, if you're not able to do it, then with your tongue, speak out against it. Be strong enough to, be brave enough to, when you see someone doing something unjust or wrong in the Sharee'ah, be brave enough to speak out against it. Yeah, listen, friend, you're my friend, I love you. Don't do that. May Allah protect you. Number one, the first thing to do is be brave enough. If you can't be brave enough, then the Prophet ﷺ said what? Then at least hate it in your heart, and that's the weakest of Iman. If you can't be brave enough to tell them that they're wrong, then at least hate it in their heart. Now we have a problem here. Hating it in your heart, does that mean that you still go with them to do it? You say, but I hate it that you're doing, I really don't like that we're doing this right now. But no, that's a lie. Hating it in your heart means that you're going to leave that situation alone too. I hate this in my heart. And that's the weakest form of Iman. I don't like what you're doing, friend. Don't do it. And I'm not coming with you. And I'm not going to support you. And I'm not going to lie to cover for you. Right? Can't say I hate it in the heart and I'm trying to cover for you at the same time. Or I'm trying to justify what you're doing. Right? No. I got to hate it in my heart and stay away from it. That makes sense? There's a question here that says, can a woman get married to her brother-in-law after her husband dies? Yes. After her husband dies. Actually, it was very common during the time of the Sahaba. It was very common during the time of the Sahaba. Why? Sahaba were family people. You guys thinking about it the wrong way, unfortunately. You guys are thinking about it one way, and the real men and women think about it another way. The men that married the women who married their brother-in-law after their husband died or was killed or vice versa, it wasn't done because maybe, I liked my sister. No, it wasn't that. It was the fact that maybe my sister-in-law had children by my brother. And I don't want my brother's children to be raised in somebody else's home. Do you understand? So being that I don't want my brother's children to be raised in someone else's home, I'll marry my sister-in-law so that the children will still be raised in our family. Does that make sense? It's not the way that, and that's one of the problems of today, that our minds sometimes are a little perverted. That we think about the wrong reason before we think about the right reason. They were thinking about family. Let's keep the family together. She was a part of our family for 5, 10, 15 years. We're not going to send her to become a part of somebody else's family. She was a daughter to my mother, right? A daughter to my father. My sister, we're going to keep her in the family. We're going to make sure that she still keeps the honor that my brother gave her. Does that make sense? And they marry her. Marriage in Islam is not always for love. That's another problem that we have. Marriage in Islam is not always for love. There's other reasons for sure. What advice, what does it say? Are the good deeds of a non-believer rewarded? If they become Muslim. If they become Muslim. But they won't get rewarded as far as going to Jannah, or they may get rewards in the dunya. But if they become Muslim, then the good deeds that they did prior to Islam will be on their account, inshallah, and they'll get that when they go to Jannah. But as far as the non-Muslim, they get rewarded in the dunya for whatever they might have done. Or it might be a reason for their punishment in the fire to be lessened, right? There's levels in the fire. Some kuffar will be lower than others. And that will be their different punishments in regards to how they were in this life. Even amongst the kuffar, there are some that are decent, right? There are some decent kafirs, but there's still a kafir, and the kafir will be in the fire forever. There's no doubt about that. But their punishments in the fire may differ. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Is it true that a Muslim doesn't believe in Jesus? Read Surah Al Imran. Read Surah Al Imran. Read Surah Maryam. Read Surah Al-Baqarah. It's impossible a person can believe that a Muslim doesn't believe in Jesus. A Muslim believes in Jesus, loves Jesus, but does not believe that Jesus is the Son of God. But a Muslim has to believe that Jesus is a prophet and messenger, and one of the greatest prophets and messengers, and they have to love. You can't be a Muslim and don't love Jesus. The same way that we love Adam, Ibrahim, Musa, it's all the same. Just because the kuffar say that we love Jesus, and we love him properly. Why? Because we put him in his proper place. We don't put him above where he belongs, right? The last question, how can a Muslim be happy? How can a Muslim be happy? By reading Quran? Allah Ta'ala says, "Man amila salihan min dhakarin aw untha." Allah says that whoever believes in Allah and he does righteous actions, whether he's a man or a woman, فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبًا. Allah said that whoever believes in Allah, first condition that you have to believe in Allah. Actually believe in Allah. Because sometimes we do lip service and we wonder why we're not happy, right? We do lip service. Iman starts where? In the heart. Then our lips confirm it and our actions follow it. But a lot of times we find ourselves depressed, not happy, because we really don't believe in Allah. That's the real reality. Because Allah promised that whoever believes in Allah and does righteous actions, that Allah promised to give them a good life, a happy life. Hayatun tayyib. Doesn't mean you're going to be rich. Doesn't mean you're going to be famous. But it means that you're going to have a life that is happy to a believer. You're content. Qana'ah. You have contentment with whatever Allah has decreed for you. That's true happiness. That whatever Allah has placed on me, I know is not too much to handle. And I'm okay with it. I'll handle it. I'll bear it. Thank you, Allah. Right? When a person is unhappy with what Allah has decreed for him or her, then of course they're not going to be happy. How can you be displeased with the one who created you? How can you hate something that Allah has decreed for you? And Allah knows better, you and I. It's impossible. So displeasure or discontentment comes from you hating yourself first. People have to become happy in themselves. A lot of times people are looking for everyone else to make them happy. But the first step of being happy is to believe in Allah. The first step of being happy is to do righteous actions. If you don't do any righteous actions, you don't do the good deeds, and you want to be happy, how is that going to happen? Why should Allah reward you with happiness and you're not doing the things that Allah loves and is pleased with? It doesn't work that way. So the key to happiness in a nutshell is to obey Allah, do righteous actions, and Allah will do the rest. All right? That was the only question that were written down. If someone has another question, they can ask it. What time is it? It's at what? 7:31? طيب هذا وصلى الله عليه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك